Tuesday, I am on Tuesday. Jeremy Parker got it. You go by Jeremy? Okay. Good deal. Okay. So right now, we have all but one of the paid students is here, and the others that we're missing are non-paid, so I don't know if they're going to be here or not. Okay, everything seems to be okay, so and we are now recording. So sometimes it does take a little jiggle to make it happen. Okay, first thing we're going to talk about is the syllabus for the course. By the way, for those who came in after you got started, I teach using a package called Screencast-O-Matic, and that's what's recording right now. Everything that's projected on the board and everything I say is recorded in sync, and then later I'll upload it to YouTube. It takes a while for it to process, like an hour or so, and then when I'm free after that, I'll upload it to YouTube. And then when I get a chance, I will put the link for YouTube in Blackboard, okay? And I'm not there yet, but I'll get there hopefully sometime, not today, okay? I know it's not going to be today. We'll talk about that later. All right. The syllabus has not been updated. I was thinking yesterday afternoon, I had 2 hours of office hours. I was going to get it done. I got into my office. I had people waiting to register and doing various things. So I was down to about an hour, and then I checked something on email and found out the dean wanted me to provide a list for Manning Help Desk today. She forgot to tell us what days we were going to have it until yesterday, and remembered to tell us we had it today, and told me I had 2 people to use on help desk today, and I was in class all day, and the other one was in class all day, so we got the associate dean is helping us out. And my lunch hour, I'll be on the help desk, and then this evening, when I'm supposed to be home, I'll be on the help desk, okay? But anyway, I had to deal with that, and then also the associate dean said we need to cancel some classes that are low enrolled, so I had to go through and do all that last night. So I did not have any time to spend on the syllabus. So this is not current, but I'll show you where the problems are. So obviously it's not spring 2017, we're fall 2017. So that's a minor change. Now I put this in mini-term 1, not that this class is bothered by mini-term, but my office hours change with the mini-terms. So I explain that to you when we get there. It is Math 113, everybody's in the right class, right? Good deal. And it's a 3-credit hour course, and we meet Tuesday, Thursday, 9:30 to 10:45. That's for campus, building A, that's this building, and 255, that's this room. Okay? Yeah, okay. Here's my information. My name is Charles Fowler. My office is in this building, room 265. Now let me show you where that is on the little map that they have here. We're here in the corner classroom right here. Okay? 265. When you go out the door here, take a left, and go down the half flight of stairs, and go almost to the end of the hall. Don't bump into the end of the hall. Just before you get there, to your left is a stairwell, but the door before that is my office. That's 265. Right next to the mechanical room like we have here. Yes, sir. This is 265. 266 is the last 2 doors on the right. Go in front. Next to the last door on the right. Okay. So you go down the half flight of stairs, there's my office right there, between the mechanical room and the stairwell, 265. So you were in 255, 257, 259, 261, 263, and my office is 265. Okay. Okay. Now, I just saw something interesting, but I wish. Okay. Now, that's here on the Bessemer campus. On Fridays, I'm usually on the Birmingham campus, and there, my office is in the academic building. Are y'all familiar with Birmingham? Most of you? academic building. Can I get your name, please? Second? My hearing is so bad. Okay. See if I can find it. Ooh. Taiwan. Okay. Is that what you go by? Yes. Okay. And Sewell Bender. Okay. Good deal. All right. Now, all the paid students are here, and the only two we're missing are not paid, so I'm not sure they're coming, but hopefully they will. Okay. Now, for Taiwan, who just got here, I teach using a package called Screencast-O-Matic, which records everything I say and everything that's projected on the board in sync. So what little you've missed coming in, you can always go back and get it. And I'll explain how to get that in just a few minutes. Okay? I was just talking about on the Birmingham campus, my office on Fridays in the academic building, which is also called the B building or B hall, and that's B122. For any of you familiar with Birmingham campus, I bet you all know where yes. That's right. Okay. Oh yeah, okay, familiar with it. Okay. I'm hard of hearing, so if I get close, it's not that I'm trying to get too personal or anything, it's just that I don't hear well. Okay. And any of you are not familiar with Birmingham campus, all you have to do is ask for Dr. Pruitt's office. Any of you know where Dr. Pruitt's office is? Yeah. Okay, that's B122. Okay, when you first go into his office, you'll see a secretary's desk right there. Okay, he's back in the corner, big, nice office there. There's a little copy room behind the secretary's desk. That's my office on Fridays. Okay, it's not really my office, it's just where I go on Fridays. I'll get to that in a minute too, so I'll explain that in just a bit. In fact, right now. My phone here on the Bessemer campus is 929-3449. Okay. Right now, I'm so far behind in voicemails, I don't know if I'm going to live long enough to catch them all up. I mean, that may be an exaggeration, but it may not be. Okay. We were out for a week, and then we were in meetings for last week and registering students and a variety of things. So I'm so far behind in voicemails, I don't know when I'll get caught up. I really don't. So I suggest not even bother. In fact, someone who called yesterday said, "Is your voicemail working?" I said, "I'm not sure because I haven't been able to get on it lately, and it may be full. So it may be that it's not working." But what I suggest is only call during my office hours, because if I'm up here teaching, I'm not going to hear the phone ring. Okay, if the voicemail's not working, then don't bother. And if I can't get to the voicemail for a while, it's better to call back later. So please do that. Now, on the Birmingham campus, on Fridays, here's the number in the office where I am. Please don't leave me a voicemail there, because that's not my phone, okay? The woman who's there Monday through Thursday, she's a grant coordinator, and she's not there on Fridays, and that's why, or her office. So she gets those voicemails. I don't even know how to access her voicemail, and I shouldn't. So don't leave a message at this number, but you can call me at that number. But if I don't answer, hang up and call back again a few minutes later. Same thing here. If I don't answer during office hours, hang up and call back 5 or 10 minutes later. I'll probably be back in the office. Okay, my email is cfowler@lawsonstate.edu. And by the way, that's just about all the employees of the college. Not all, but most of us. First initial, last name at lawsonstate.edu. There's a few people with common last names like Williams and Martin and things like this, that 2 or more people will have the same first initial. So then they use the first 2 initials, like Ms. Williams in the financial aid office, she's Sharon Williams. Well, there was already an S. Williams, so she was S.D. Williams, whatever her middle initial is. Ms. Martin down the hall here and teaches math, there was already a C. Martin, and she's C.M. Martin or something like that. So a few of them will have 2 initials in their last name, but most of us are 1. There are a few, but not many, who do specials, like Mr. King, who teaches speech and English. He just chose to be Kelvin King rather than K King. So I think it's Kelvin underline King. But there aren't many of those. Most of us are first initial last name. Now, these office hours are for last spring, so I'll correct them now. On Monday and Wednesday mornings, I have a Math 100 class full to the gills, okay? And then I have a Calculus 2 class, which is not very full, but there's at least one student in there who has to have it to keep on sequence to graduate. So I'm teaching a very small class. The 100 is 8 to 9:15. The Calculus is 9:30 until 11:10. So I'm usually trying to get back in the office by 11:15. I don't always make it, but I'll try to be there. So from 11:15 to 12:15, okay? Because at 12:15, I start a Calculus 3 class. And again, it's a very small class, but there's at least one person who needs it to graduate this term. So I'm teaching that. So from 12:15 to 1:55, I'm in Cal 3. And then from 2 o'clock to 3:15, I'm in differential equation. Again, in a very small class, but there's at least one person who needs it to graduate. So I'm teaching that one. But Mondays and Wednesdays, the best time to catch me, 3:15 to 5:15. I'm in the office 11:15 to 12:15. That's when I eat lunch. I usually bring my lunch. I eat in the office, so you can call me or come by then. But the better time is 3:15 to 5:15. And that's when I hope to get my syllabus updated yesterday. It didn't happen. I finally left there about 6:30 or 6:45 and still hadn't gotten to do it. Now, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and again, I don't know if this is true. That's one reason I haven't updated yet. I do have a pre-calculus algebra class in the morning, and they had all but one desk full this morning, and several people weren't here, so it's filled to the gills. And this is a good-sized class. This may be the biggest tree class I've ever had here. Way to go, team. Okay. And this, you see from 9:30 to 10:45. The pre-calculus algebra is 8 to 9:15. You're 9:30 to 10:45. Now, right now I'm scheduled for a linear algebra class from 11 to 12:15. However, there's only 2 students in there. I'm going to try to talk them into taking it in the spring if they can, because we need to have bigger classes in the spring and bigger than 2 people. But if one of them needs it, has to have it this term to graduate, then I will go and teach it. So I don't know now whether the office hours will be 10:45 until 1:15, or if they'll be 12:15 to 1:15. One of the 2 of those. This is wrong. Okay. Now on at 1:15, I have. And by the way, I'm not going to be in my office today from 12:15 to 1:15 because I've got to sit at the help desk from 12:15 to 1:15. Dr. Pruitt has been sitting there all morning, and he needs a lunch break, so I'll be eating my lunch down there while he goes and gets a lunch break. Okay? But from 1:15 until 3:45, I've got a physical science class. It's a mini-term class, that's why it goes so long, 1:15 to 3:45. Then the lab goes from 3:45 to 5:45. And then today, because I have to go back to the help desk, I'll be at the help desk from 5:45 until 6:30. Okay. Most of the days, after the lab is over at 5:45, I'll be leaving at 6. If not today, I'll have to stay later. Okay. So but I'll know after today whether the linear algebra is going to make or not. Then on Fridays, now I have here 7:45 to 1. It may be 11:45. It may be 12. There's something in there. I have to figure out how many hours I need. A 40-hour work week, plus because the second mini-term, my physical science class is an overload, I have to make up those hours for the overload. I'll try to spread them over both terms. So I don't know what time I'll be leaving on Friday. It will be something between 11:45 and 1. I never leave at 11:45 even though it's listed, but that's what I shoot for. Okay, and that's when I'm on the Birmingham campus. All right, I'll try to have these corrected. I don't have any time at all today to correct it. Now, I have 2 hours tomorrow. I might be able to get it corrected. So maybe by Thursday, but if not, Friday when I'm on the Birmingham campus, hopefully I'll get it corrected.
Once you get corrected, will it be uploaded on the Blackboard?
Yes. Once I get everything corrected in this, I'll upload it on the Blackboard. Okay, good question. I'll wait till I get down here to talk about Blackboard, but yeah. Okay. Course description. Now, I did not write this. No one here at the college wrote this. It was a committee of four-year, state-supported four-year universities and colleges and the two-year college system, which is, again, state-supported. They got together and came up with this. They agreed that if we teach this, they give you credit for it. A lot of the private schools in the state will also give you credit, and a lot of the schools in surrounding states will also give you credit, but they get to choose whether they do it or not. But in the state, it's guaranteed. This course includes the study of trigonometric, which you also can call circular functions, and inverse trigonometric functions, and includes extensive work with trigonometric identities and trigonometric equations. The course also covers vectors, complex numbers, De Moivre's theorem, okay, and polar coordinates. Now, we may not get all those done by the end, but we're going to try to get as many as possible. Additional topics may include conic sections. I've never gotten there. Sequences, never gotten there in different courses, but not in this course. And using matrices to solve linear systems. That's really a different course. That's linear algebra or Math 110. You know, both of those cover that. So these additional topics, generally, we don't get there. We just try to get all these others done. Okay, prerequisites. Basically, you have to pass with a C or higher Math 112. Or you may have scored to be in this course. I've had that happen before too. Okay? Prerequisite 9. The textbook. Now I did notice, I think it was you who had the new text. Is that right? Did you have this old text from Math 112 or did you take 112 here? Oh, okay. Okay. You're perfectly fine with that. But because most of you, did you have Math 112 with this book? You don't need to buy the new book, okay? So I'm going to be teaching from the old book because that's what all the 112 students had before. The new book came out just this time. So if you want to talk them into taking it back, you can, because they shouldn't have even listed it for Math 113. But the bookstore is run by a private company. It's no longer ours. A few years ago, we owned the bookstore. Now we don't. They just rent the space from us or something. But they should not have. Well, they were wanting to sell a book, but there's hardly any change. So you're perfectly fine with that book. But I'll be teaching from the previous one. Okay. So all of you that have the previous one, don't go to the bookstore and look for it. Now, do any of you not have a book yet? Okay. If you're counting on Pell Grant to pay for it, you're going to have to get the new book, it looks like. He should have left some of these. I'll go talk with the bookstore manager, and he should be able to sell you some of this, because this is the edition we will be using. But if you want to buy that book, you certainly can. Or rent it, or you can go online. Yes?
What if we didn't get the hard copy, but we have no math lab?
That'll probably be fine. You got to make sure it's still, wait. This book doesn't use my math lab. This uses WebAssign.
WebAssign, I'm sorry.
Okay, well then I will have to somehow activate that for you, but then you've got to make sure they still do it, because WebAssign is notorious, even though it's supposed to be for life. They say, oh no, you only got it for one term. No, you didn't. You got 2 courses in this. So we fight with them every time. So, but if that's what you're banking on, then does that come with the ebook? Mm-hmm. Okay. You should be able to get that on your own, but if you can't, then I'm going to have to find out what we need to do to get that. I'll check with Dr. Thomas. She knows WebAssign a lot better than I do. I frankly don't even like WebAssign. The ebook I think is a great idea, but if that's the only way you can get it, then we'll do whatever it takes. So see what you can do on your own, and if you can't, then I'll try to find out what I need to do to make it happen. Okay. All right. is in that vote. You know, so yes, you what?
I have WebAssign.
Okay, and you only use the ebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, have you tried to get it? Okay, try it and see if you can. Frankly, if you bought the thing, you should be able to get it. But they make it so awkward. Okay, that's why I don't like WebAssign, because they seem like they sell you and they come to us and tell you how wonderful it is. We always have this question. Okay, now this book is used in 2 or 3 classes, blah blah blah. Or if the student, withdrawals or something, should be. Oh yeah, oh no problem. Yes, yeah, you got it for life. And then when it comes time for it, they always say, oh no, you have to buy it again, and you do not. Okay, so don't let them tell you that. That's one reason I don't like WebAssign. I don't like supporting books. Okay, sorry. Okay. All right. So that's where we were. Yeah. Pre-calculus 9th edition is what we'll be using. But if you have the 10th edition, that's fine. If you have the 8th edition, here's the other thing, another time out here. These book publishers come out with new editions about every 2 or 3 years, it seems like. Why do they do that? Because there's new material? No, it's the same math it's always been. Because they only make money when they sell new books. Once used books get to being out there in frequent numbers, then they don't make any money on used books. They only make them on new books. So they make the authors do minor little changes. Sometimes it's just color or different pictures or something like that, and then they do a new edition. Okay? And that also is something that hacks me off about the publishers. I do not like this publisher at all. They are notorious for doing that and overcharging for books. But I do like this author. He's one of the best authors I've ever taught from, and I'll explain that to you a little bit later. So even though I don't like the publisher, I do like the other. And that's the other thing, the other gimmick they use and why they push WebAssign so greatly, because they only sell WebAssign with a new book. And it's just a ripoff, because they're trying to force the students to buy new books. If they buy a used book, then they'll sell them for sell them the WebAssign for almost the cost, and maybe something greater than the cost of the new book when you add them together. So it's nothing but a scam in my mind. Sorry about that. And that's why I don't like it. But I do like the author. Good. It's a good text written by a good author. Okay. So that's what we'll be using. It's a 2014. The new one probably is, 2017 or 18. Graphing or scientific calculator is certainly allowed in the course. Now, unfortunately, Dr. Pruitt did the book orders this summer, because I was teaching 6 classes this summer, and he went on and did the book orders. When I do the book orders, I always list that the graphing calculator is required, even though it's not. That way Pell Grant will pay for it if you want to buy it through Pell. But I don't know if he put that on it or not. But if he didn't, I will put it on there ex post facto, and they'll allow that. I think I'll do whatever I can. Let me know if you need me to do that. If you already have a graphing calculator, fine. You don't have to have one for the course. It makes one section easier to do, okay? And some of the others, it would be beneficial, but it's not required, okay? But I put it there in case you do need to get one. Please bring paper, pencils. I didn't write this syllabus, someone else did. I don't mind if you use these, but I'll make a confession now. When I do math, I tend to make errors, and you're going to see that soon enough, okay? So I usually use pencil when I do math. But if you are comfortable using ink, fine with me. I don't take all points with it, okay? You don't have to have graphing paper, but if you do have some, there is the second test is a huge graphing test. I mean, not quite half the test is graphing. So, but I'll provide graph paper if you need it. Okay. But if you have your favorite that you like to use, I'll use it. Okay. This statement on Blackboard. When they first put this in, they said you cannot change anything in this statement. Okay. and so they still say that. Okay, it's out of date, but they don't let us change it. All Austin Community College students must be trained in Blackboard and use Blackboard daily to gain access to vital course information such as the syllabus, and I know y'all are going to read the syllabus every day, aren't you? Saturdays and Sundays included. Every day you'll be reading this. Okay? Some people, literally, I think some instructors, and I think the administration encourages instructors to use Blackboard to teach the course. Okay? To me, Blackboard's a tool, and it's not the tail wagging the dog. Okay? I like to be the dog, and I want to wag whatever I want to wag. I don't want it telling me what I got to do. So I don't use it to the extent that some people do, and maybe that makes me a bad teacher. I don't know. But anyway, I will put the syllabus as you were asking earlier. Now, are all of you familiar with Blackboard? Are you new here? But you're still familiar with Blackboard, or you're not? Okay. If you need help, I'll help as much as I can. But I bet you some of these folks who've been around a while know the student side better than I do, because I only see the instructor side. But I'll be glad to help, and there's others that are great at it. But when you get to this course in Blackboard, and by the way, I think on the website there's probably some tutorials there. They expanded and made the website so fancy. I have trouble finding things there, but I know they got a lot of stuff out there. So look for it. I know that it's on the website somewhere. Okay, but when you get to this course in Blackboard, you'll find in the upper left corner of the home page a block with a bunch of tabs in it. Okay? Something like the second or third tabs, and again, I don't know what on the student side. On the instructor side, I know, but student side, somewhere around the second or third tab is one that's called content. Now, if you go there right now, you'll find nothing there. Okay? I haven't put anything out there yet. But when I finally get a chance to do so, when I get the syllabus updated, then I'll put the syllabus out there under content. You're going to have a research paper due. I will put that assignment out there. I've got it almost done. I've got just a couple little changes to make, and then I'll put that out there. I'll put my locator card, which shows when I'm on campus, when I'm off campus, when I'm in class, when I'm in the office hours, when I'm at lunch, when I'm not. Okay, that kind of thing. It will also be on my door, on my office door, but I'll put it on Blackboard as well. Okay. I'll also put the PowerPoints for every section we're going to cover in this course. It may be some that we won't cover, but I'll put them all out there on Blackboard. Okay, they're not there yet, but I'll put them there. Then, over the years, I've found a few websites that look like to me they might be beneficial for the course. Okay, I'll put those on Blackboard. And also, I've had a few students who have found sites and let me know about them. They said, wow, this was really helpful. So I get them to send me the link. I put those out there. So I can't remember how many, 3, 4, 5 sites that either I found out about or students have told me about, and I'll put those out there. And then finally, the last thing will be the link to YouTube videos. Okay, it's not there yet. I've got the playlist formed and everything, and as soon as I can get to do it on Blackboard, I'll put that link out there. Now, let me say this about the YouTubes. And I choose to do it this way. I hope it's not confusing. But the way YouTube does things, whatever you put first, that's first, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. Well, the last time I taught this course, which was last spring, those YouTube videos are out there now. Okay? So when I put today's, which is going to be called MTH113 Syllabus, I will take off the one that we used last spring and leave the one that we use this time. So the ones you see at the top are old ones, and the one you see at the bottom are the new ones. It seems a little backwards, but that's how they do it, and I have to change them around every time I did it, so I just keep it that way. But that way, if you want to look ahead, you can do so. Okay? And if you don't, you just go to the bottom and pick the ones that they don't have days and times on them. I wish they did, but that's how you'll see them there. I try not to mess with the order. So anyway, That's how you access Blackboard. So in the content, you'll find all that. Okay. So let's continue. It says handouts. Generally, if I have handouts for you, I will hand them out. Okay. So I don't usually put them on Blackboard. Maybe that's a waste of paper. I don't know. But that way, I don't have to listen to, oh, but it was on my Blackboard. No, I handed it to you. I know you got it. Okay. So I usually do handouts. The PowerPoint shows. These are actually on Blackboard in two places. Number one, they're in content in static form. Now, some students like to print those off ahead of time and use those as what they take notes on. If you like doing that, you can do it. That's just static, what the PowerPoints are, and that's what I'll be teaching from. But the second place you'll find them are in the YouTube videos, because I teach off a Blackboard. This is a tablet computer, so this is an ionizing pen. I solve problems on the board, and if it gets projected on the board, it's stored in Screencast-O-Matic and therefore on YouTube. Now, my arm waving, that doesn't get saved, okay? That has no way of knowing what I'm pointing to. So if you're listening to it and you say, what is he pointing at? Well, you don't know. But that will be, so the PowerPoints will be static under content, dynamic under the YouTube. Okay? Activities. Now, most of the time, occasionally the school will put activities out there on Blackboard, so you can pick those up. I don't know of many things I'm going to put there under activities. Assignments, I will put your research paper assignment out there, hopefully within a few days or a week or so, okay? And I don't type out every day what your homework assignment is. I just don't have time for that. But what I do is on YouTube, when we finish a section, I'll make an assignment for the problems in that section. Or when we come to the end of a class and we aren't through with a section, I'll give you the homework assignments that we went down to, all the ones that we covered in that section so far. So they will be out there on Blackboard, but you have to listen to YouTube to get them. Make sense? Okay, so those are assignments. Announcements. Sometimes the school puts announcements out there like, homecoming, this or that or the other thing. So, check Blackboard for that. I usually will not, but this past summer, this happened, and it really irritated the fool out of me, but it was one time I had to put an announcement on Blackboard. I've had others, but, I got an email from the National Science Foundation that they're having a grant writing thing, and they wanted a team from the college, so I just emailed the people I knew that were in charge of that and said, look, if you need somebody to be on the team, I'd like to go to the meeting they're having in Atlanta on a Friday, Saturday. Okay? Why did I say that? Because there weren't any classes on Friday and Saturday in the summer. So I was, that would work out fine, and Atlanta's close. I got an email back from the vice president saying, or he called, I think he called, or his secretary called or something, and said, well, he's wanting to go to New Orleans for the same meeting, but at a different time, and it's going to be on a Monday, Tuesday. I said, well, I can't do that. I teach on Mondays and Tuesdays. And he said, well, I didn't want to mess up a weekend. Well, that shows a difference. Instructors are worried about missing classes. Administrators worry about missing weekends. Okay, sorry. Irritated the fool out of me. He said, oh, we may not get it. That may be full. They may put us in Atlanta anyway. Well, the week before he said, nope, we're going to New Orleans. So then I didn't meet with the class again. I had to put an announcement there. We're not having class on Tuesday because Monday because it irritated the mud out of me. Okay. So occasionally I will have to put an announcement out there, but usually I'd rather not. Okay. Grades, I will put your grades there. Now this is a fairly good-sized class, so when you start turning in work, like I said, I have no office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I do have 2 hours on Mondays and Wednesdays. I will try to get those things graded on Monday and Wednesday afternoon if I can, but if not, it'll be Friday. That's what I usually use my Fridays for, is to get grading and attendance and Blackboard and all that caught up. I won't be immediate, but I will get there as soon as I can. I do not like this next sentence. It's so negative. Failure to use Blackboard can severely damage your ability to pass the course. If I were writing this, I'd say the proper use of Blackboard could greatly enhance your ability to do well in the course. It's a lot more positive, and I think closer to reality. It may be that some people teach from Blackboard so stringently that you couldn't pass the course without it. Maybe that sentence is good for them, but it just seems a little ridiculous to me. This one's really crazy. We haven't had a schedule book in years, but they don't let us change it. See the schedule book inside cover. We put the schedule online now. We don't have a schedule book, so but you can go to the Boston State webpage and find the tutorial and get training that way. And I do not like the last sentence either. Students should always check the Blackboard announcement page prior to coming to class. Why would they say that?
Maybe back in the day, some teachers put the class was canceled.
Exactly. And am I going to cancel a class? Not if I can help it. I'm going to be here. I'll be here coughing and sneezing and blowing my nose. I'll be here whenever I can. Now, something may come up. And in fact, something I can almost guarantee you will come up. Now, I hate to say this, but you need to know, I guess. I have a mild form of leukemia, okay? And so I have to see my hematologist about every 3 or 4 months. So I'll have an appointment sometime this term, and this doctor only sees patients on Tuesday mornings. So it's going to mess up at least one class, okay? And I can't do a thing about it, but I have to see them periodically, and so I know I'll have at least one appointment on a Tuesday morning, which will almost certainly mess up this class. If it's very early in the morning, I still don't think I'll be back by 9:30. And if it's later in the morning, and it's never in the afternoon, it's always the morning. So it will mess up at least one class. But we'll work that out, and I'll let you know as far in advance as I can, and we'll work it out however we can. Okay. And unless the vice president, sends me to a meeting that conflicts with the class, I'll try to be here with them. Now, if I get really, really sick one morning and can't possibly come, the odds are I'm not going to pull out the computer and send something on Blackboard. If I can do that, I'm going to make it to class. Okay. Now, if we run into a traffic jam on the expressway, I can't get here. I can't imagine I couldn't get here by 9:30, but if that were to be the case, I'm going to make a phone call and tell somebody to put it on the board, but I won't have a chance to put it on Blackboard. So I'm going to try never to cancel a class. I know I will have to cancel one, but we'll try to make that up if we can. All right, course student learning outcomes. Students will identify trigonometric functions and relations between them using the unit circle. And by the way, if you do have your text, this is Chapter 4, Section 4.2. Okay? Students will identify trigonometric functions and use trigonometric laws using the trigonometry of right triangles. That's Section 4.3. We will analyze, and by the way, we'll also, all of Chapter 4 will be involved with those two things. Okay? Analyze trigonometric identities. That, by the way, is Chapter 5. Okay? Pretty much the whole chapter. I'm going to go to the table of contents so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. That's pretty much Chapter 5, Analytic Trigonometry. Okay? Analyze trigonometry. Oh, wait. That was 3. Okay. Solve trigonometric equations using inverse trigonometric functions. That is 4.7. Okay? So it's back in Chapter 4. I didn't put these student course learning outcomes together. If I would have, they'd have followed the book better. Okay? Plot complex numbers using trigonometric principles of the Morvey's theorem. That's 6 point. Let's see. Oh, they don't put his name in it. It's somewhere in Chapter 6. Okay? Use polar coordinates and operate with vectors. That is 6.3, and 6.4. Oh, and by the way, De Morgan's theorem was 6.5. Okay? And then write an library or internet-based research application paper on any topic in trigonometry. And we'll talk about that later. Okay? So, what are the competencies that will measure these things? Well, chapter 4 is a huge chapter. It is 8 sections, and we cover them all. So what I found out after the first time I taught with this course, I was going to try to do all of chapter 4. It took so much time that I decided to split it into 2. So 4.1 to 4.4 is going to be the first test, and 4.5 to 4.8 is going to be the second test. So there'll be 2 different tests from chapter 4. Chapter 5 will be, it's a 5-section chapter, so that'll be all 5 sections there. And chapter 6, if we get all 5 sections covered, it'll be that. If not, we'll do whatever we cover. We'll also have a research application paper and then a comprehensive final exam. Okay. Now we'll get back to that in a minute. Now this is a pretty good sized class. So like I said, it's probably the largest trig class I've taught since I've been here. Usually when we have smaller classes, I usually will go on and let this class have the options of take-home test or in-class test. Do you have a preference? Say again? No preference?
We do either or.
What's that?
We do either or, like,
Anyone have a preference?
I don't know. Take home, I guess.
Oh, I heard some people, wow, one take-home. That's amazing.
I mean, cause some of us like take home because it's more our comfort zone. Some of us like in class tests, though, we become actual.
Like, do we have like a mixture?
What's that?
Like a mixture?
A picture.
A mixture.
A mixture. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, here's the deal. Like I said, there are, especially that second test has a lot of graphing on it. And graphing can take a while. So in class, that would be kind of hard to do in an hour exam. So that's the other reason I kind of like take-home tests for this. But you mentioned the thing of asking questions. I always give you at least 1 week to turn in a take-home test. And there's 2 reasons I give you a week. Number 1 reason is you always have a class period in between that you can ask questions. Okay? Now, let's do a timeout on that one too. Is this a legitimate question? Can you do problem 6? My answer would be, sure I can. But I'm not going to. Okay? If it's a test, you need to be doing it. Here would be a far more legitimate question. I don't understand what question 6 is asking for. Can you elaborate? Yeah, for sure I'll do that. Or, here's another perfectly legitimate question. Can you do problem 15 out of section 4.5? Sure. Anything from the book I can. I will. So, if you have a question on the test, I won't work the problem for you, but if you find something in the book that's similar, I'll work anything from the book. Okay? And that's why I give you at least a week. Now, I'm usually pretty much of a pushover if you can't. Oh, the second reason I give you a week is you always have a weekend in between. So if you're working or have family or something else and you just don't have time to sit down and dedicate to not a long exam, but an exam that's going to take a while and effort, and the weekend's the only time you can do it, you always have that opportunity. Okay? So that's the 2 reasons I always give you a week to turn in a test. If we do take homes. Are y'all willing to do that? Okay. Well, if we do, then the other thing is we got so much material to cover. I hate to take too much time out of class because then we can't cover as much material. So we'll try that way. If it doesn't seem to be working, we can go back to in-class tests. Okay. How will I assess you on this stuff? Well, always does that. Okay. I didn't write this. I wouldn't have put that first sentence in there. But a research application paper, I did write that part, is required for the class. We'll talk about that later, okay? It will count as a test score. That score cannot be dropped. Your research paper is required. So I will not drop your research paper test, research paper score. However, you'll have a test midway through Chapter 4, in the Chapter 4, 5, and 6. So up to 4 tests. Then a comprehensive final exam, okay? The comprehensive final exam cannot be dropped. That's one of the student measurements that we have. However, I will drop one of the chapter test scores, your lowest chapter test score, if it helps your grade, okay? I won't drop the research paper, I won't drop the final, but if I will drop your lowest chapter test if it helps your grade. Now, if it pulls your grade down, I won't drop it. I'll only do it if it helps. Okay. And the comprehensive final exam cannot be dropped, and it will count just as a chapter test grade. Because I actually usually make the comprehensive final exam a little bit shorter and easier, because usually you only have a few days to work on that one, whereas the others you have at least a week or longer. But that one I try to make a little shorter, so therefore I don't count it with one test. And then your average will then be 90s or A's, 80s or B's, 70s or C's, and don't go anywhere else, okay? Stay with it. Attendance, please try to come to class every day that you can, because even though I record this stuff and you can listen to it at home, it's hard to ask a question at home, okay? You can ask out to your heart's content, but you're not going to get an answer because no one's there to answer it. So try to be here in class. I think it's helpful. We talked about this at the faculty meetings last week, that you can almost map students' grades by how frequently they come to class. I mean, it doesn't always fit, but it's a really good guide, okay? If you look like you're going to have to miss a lot of classes, then you might want to consider withdrawing. Withdrawing does not hurt you academically at all. A D or an F does hurt you academically, but a W does not. Now, it may have financial aid implications, because if you retake a class once, financial aid will pay for it usually. But if you retake it twice, the second time they will not. They'll pay for the second time you take it, but not for the third time, the second retake. So you have to take that into mind too. Now, I gave this an example in my last class. I'm not calling any names or anything, but I had a student in the summer in a physics class, and she seemed to be, she was a transient student, she wasn't a Lawson student, seemed to be pretty bright, and I think she was, but she had so many difficulties in the summer. She was pregnant at the beginning of summer, but then she was also in an abusive relationship, actually had to leave the state to get away from that, and was trying to follow everything using Screencast-O-Matic, following stuff. And she did very well considering that, but she just could not keep up completely. And I told her over the phone when she called periodically, I said, "Are you sure you don't want to withdraw?" She said, "No, I really need it to graduate, and I really don't care what grade. I just want to pass the course." And she was passing, but I bet you, I think she dropped 1 or 2 letter grades just by not being here, because she just couldn't get everything done. And as it turned out, before the term was over, she had the child, and that lost her another week. So, but she worked at it awfully hard. But I still think withdrawing would have been better for her, but she wanted to graduate at the end of the summer, and she couldn't otherwise. So you have to make your decision, okay? Makeup work, now if everything's take home, how do you do makeup work? Well, I do say this, try to get it back to me within a week, or if you're not here, say that Tuesday I gave the test, then you show up the next Tuesday, that's the day I really would like to have it in. Well, I'll give you more time to do it, of course, but then I'm holding up giving everybody else their papers back, because I can't give the papers back while someone's still taking the test. So please don't be that student who holds up me turning back. Now, certainly once I grade your paper, you can come see what you missed. I just can't give it back to you. I'll let you look at it, but you have to give it back to don't be that student that keeps me from giving everybody the test back on time. Lateness, y'all are in this situation. I've got Math 112 right before you, so I'm usually right here, and we're going to start usually right on time. If you are late coming in, I don't make a big deal about it. I record everything. You can catch it up later, but try to be here as much as you can on time. I will do the same. Try to be here on time. Okay, statement of discrimination, harassment. I know a few of you haven't been here before, so you may not have heard this. I'll go over it, or at least summarize it. When I read this statement on discrimination and harassment, I include in that any form of bullying or other kind of stuff like this. We do not tolerate it. It is never tolerated. Please. If it's going to happen, more than likely, they're not going to do it in front of me. But you may see it. So if you sense, I'm not even talking about for yourself, for somebody else. If you think someone's being picked on, harassed, discriminated against, please let somebody know. Please let us know. We want to deal with it. We'll deal with it fairly. We'll deal with it quickly. We don't want it to happen here. Okay? And so far, I've finished my 20th year onto my 21st year here, and I have seen next to nothing that I really feel like falls under that category. Now, I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but they've sure hidden it well if it has. The closest I can remember, this is way back the first couple of years I was teaching here. I was teaching a special math class for the automotive program. We have a great automotive program here. And it was, career technical automotive math, And there was this one kid fresh out of high school, and some of you may be fresh out of high school, but I'm not saying anything bad about you. But this kid was not mature enough to be out of high school. And he really didn't want to be here. I think his dad was making him go to school. So he chose auto mechanic thinking that would be fun to work on a car. But from what I heard later, he wasn't even doing very well in that. And one day at lunch, he just decided to walk across people's cars in the parking lot. And someone saw him. He was yanked off of those cars, sent to the dean's office, was in there for a brief period of time, was sent off campus, and as far as I know, has never been seen again on this campus. Dealt with fairly, but he wasn't ready for prime time, and so he was out of here. Now, I'm not saying everybody will be kicked out, but that kid, that's where he belonged, okay? It was absolutely crazy. I could not believe. I heard about it. I didn't see it, but they told me about it. I went, what? And now that was a different administration, but I think it's probably pretty close to there. Okay. If you've not been here before, you probably haven't seen this. I'll not go into great detail here, except like I've already told you several times, I have somewhat hard of hearing, so I'm sort of sensitive to disabilities. Not that mine's a major disability or anything. Maybe for you it is that I can't hear, but for me, I guess I'm fine. My wife says it's selective hearing loss, but that's not true. Okay, but we do try to accommodate everybody who has a disability. So if you do, please get it to Dr. Renee Herndon. She's here on this campus, Office of Disability Services. Here's her phone number. She's here on this campus, over there in the student suite, the student services area. On the Birmingham campus is Mrs. Janine McCoy Jones, and there's her phone number on the Birmingham campus. Or you can go to the college website, request a meeting online if you don't want to meet in person, and they tell you how to do that here. This is new in this one. Here are the actual physical locations on this campus, in this building, down on the first floor, student services wing. And you go to the admissions desk and just ask for her. She's right around the corner from there. They'll point you to the right direction or have her come out. On the Birmingham campus, if you're familiar with that Leon Kennedy building where the cafeteria is, the police department, they're on the first floor. It's on the second floor, right near or even in the Space Center to see the ADA counselor there. Now, the college calendar, Academic calendar is on the website. Okay, so you can get it there. I put it in some courses, but you're upper level, you know how to get to that. Okay, the last thing is this. It's the student acknowledgement form. Once I got it out there on Blackboard, corrected everything done, then you can either print this page and type your name and date, print it and give it to me, or you can pull it out and send it to me as an attachment to an email. Just letting me know that you've read it, you understand it, you don't have any further questions. Right now, are there any questions? Okay. Ad nauseum. Okay, never mind. Okay. So that's the syllabus. Okay. Let's move to the research paper, general instructions. You get to choose your topic. I'm not going to assign you a topic. You get to choose anything that has anything to do with trigonometry. It can be a person. We already mentioned the Morvay's theorem. Who in the world is the Morvay? You can write about him. Or it could be a theorem. What was the Morvay's theorem? How did he develop it? How is it used? That kind of stuff. It could be a phenomenon that trigonometry deals with. For instance, when we talk about the stuff with complex numbers in the Morvay's theorem, there's actually, this would be sort of far-fetched, but if you're interested in it, actually the thing that comes closest to mapping a black hole in astronomy would be a singularity in the complex number system. If you wanted to go into that thing, you could, okay? There's all sorts of things like that. An application. I love application papers. There's a guy who sat right where you are sitting right now that was in this class many years ago. He was actually a Jeff State student, but he lived in McCall or somewhere. He drove by here every day, and evidently he had trouble in math at Jeff State. I don't know what. He decided to take his math classes here, and he wound up in my class, I think, for 112 and 113. He was a pre-forestry major. He probably has already got his degree from Auburn. He was planning to transfer to Auburn, but he was a forestry major, okay? He wrote his paper on applying trigonometry to forestry, on estimating, because what do foresters do? They estimate the number of board feet in a tree. They do it by measuring the diameter of the tree and estimating the height. Now, you think they climbed that tree with a tape measure to estimate the height? No. They use a sextant and trigonometry and right-angle trigonometry and calculate the approximate height of that tree. He wrote his paper on using trigonometry in forestry, which was a very good paper. It wasn't a great paper. He wasn't that good of a writer, but I love the topic that he shows something that he was interested in. It's going to be his field of study and how he was going to use the math to do that, okay? Or any other such topic about which you have an interest that you can relate in any way, shape, or form to trigonometry. And here I put it in or. I didn't give this always, but in the last few years I've done this. It can be an internet application or demonstration that you found useful. I could stand up here and talk about the Morvay's theorem forever, and you might say, what? And read the book and say, what? But you find something on the internet that does a better job of doing it, say, oh, that's what they meant. Well, if you want to write on that website, that YouTube video or whatever it happened to be, you can do that. That's another option for you. And that's how I picked up some of the other sites that I put on your whiteboard when students said that this I really found interesting. It really explained it well. So if you want to write on that, you can do that. Okay? Now what I'd like to ask you to do is either today if you want to, or this week if you can, or no later than next week. I'd rather have it this week if you could. Write your name on a piece of paper and a topic that you would be interested in pursuing. You certainly can change your topic anytime you want to. If you start looking into it and say, man, this is boring, or I can't find enough on this, or this is way too technical for me, you can change. I just say, get to thinking about it now. So write your name and the topic on a piece of paper. Now, this has nothing to do with the research paper, but at the faculty meeting this last week, they said, I used to always give the students the option of putting their best phone number or phone numbers there too, because you've got a whole piece of paper and just 2 little lines on it. I say, you can give me your best phone numbers. Well, now they are asking that we get not just phone number, your preferred email address. Every one of you has a Lawson Day email, but we found that sometimes people aren't checking it, but they are checking their preferred email. So if you have a preferred email, write that down on the piece of paper too. If it's Lawson State, just write, I use Lawson State email, that's fine. I can find that. But also they want us to get your very best phone number. Because frankly, I was calling last night as I was explaining we had to cancel 2 sections of Math 110 and the Math 90 or something like that. And I had to call 4 students from the 110 class and 7 students from the other class. And of those 11 students, I'm thinking pretty close to 5 of them I could not get through to the number. Either the number had been disconnected, no longer in service, it wasn't taking voicemail. There was some reason I could not get to them at all. Close to half, okay? So, if you will, give me your very best preferred email address and your very best preferred phone number. Now, yes?
It's all on the same page with our name and topic, right?
Yeah. That's save you a piece of paper, right? Okay. So if you don't want to give it to me today, if you want to go home and think about your topic, you can do that. Now, if your very best phone number is a cell phone, which I'm guessing most of you it's going to be, I see all of them all over the room here. But if there's a chance that cell phone may lose its charge, get run over by a car, you leave it at home, you lose it, or something else, or you change service and they change your numbers. If you want to give me a good backup number, you can do that. That's optional, okay? Like Mama's landline or something like that, if that's a good backup. Or, and some of you may work most of the time when people may be trying to call, if you can take phone calls at work and you want to give me a work number, you can do that too. You don't have to do those other 2. They only are asking we get the best email and best phone number, but if you'd like to give me 1 or 2 others, you can. That's completely up to you. But they do want us to get the best phone number. And we're not going to give it to anybody else in the class or any other student unless you give me permission to do so. I'm getting it because periodically, and this does happen, I'll have someone in the registrar's office run in and say, we need to get this stuff. I know they're in your class, but the phone number in the system's not working. Do you have a better phone number for them? This way, I'll have that for them. So it'll only be someone officially here at the college, not selling it to anybody, giving it to anybody. It's only going to be officially here at the school. All right. So, that was in the slide. Need your name and the topic and your very best email and your very best phone and any other phones you want to get. Okay. You'll need at least 1, but 2 or more are better, outside sources for the paper. This book is not an outside source. Now, this book does have some good ideas in it. They'll periodically have something about historical, right there. Historical note. Here is John Napier, okay? And this is not in the chapter we're going to be doing, but there's a nice little blurb. Can that be a source for your paper? No, it can be an idea for your paper, and you can take this and look up and get you a source somewhere else, but the book is not. The whole purpose, or one of the main purposes of this, get you out of the book into the real world, okay? Or at least the library or somewhere like that, okay? So you will need at least 1, but 2 or more are better, outside sources. Outside sources. The source can be from books, journals, articles, other such materials you can find in the library. And this, I hate to say, but I do allow it, any legitimate source found on the internet. Okay? I was born in 1951. I hate to say that, but I'm that old, okay? And as far as I know, the internet was not even conceived back then. So I would have to say, if you press me, what's the greatest invention that's ever happened during my lifetime? It would have to be pretty close to being the internet. I mean, it is an amazing thing. Two major problems with the internet. At least half of the stuff on there is pure garbage. Secondly, sometimes we don't know which half. Okay? So be very careful about using internet sources. I know some classes don't even allow them. I do allow them if you're certain that they're good sources. If you have any doubt, ask me, we'll go over it. Okay? Most of the time they'll be okay. The textbook is not an outside source. Okay, we're almost out of time. Y'all need me to go over the rest of this, or it's going to be out there on. The only thing that's going to be changed on it is the days, the months that you get bonus points, because this is not summer term. This is I'm sorry, it's not spring term. It's summer term. It's fall term. So I'll go back and change those. Okay, yeah, okay. When is it due? That's absolutely a great question. It's due the last day of class, not the last day of finals, but the last day of class for this course, which is the first Thursday in December, I believe. But I highly, highly, highly recommend you get it done sooner. If you wait till the end of the term, you're going to be swamped with final exams and all sorts of other projects and things. Usually the papers I get at the end of the term are some of them are work papers. Those I get early in the term are usually some of my best papers. So I highly suggest you get started on it early, and I'm going to give bonus points the earlier you turn it in. I'll explain all that later.
We bring out name and topic.
What's that?
Next Thursday. Name and topic next Thursday, right?
That'll be fine.
How many words?
Okay, good question. It has to be at least one page of text. Now let me explain what a page of text is. If you have a header, you don't have to, but if you have a header and then a title and triple space and start typing here, one page of text is going to go through the bottom of that page, and on the second page, go down at least this far. That's a page of text. So it's going to be at least 2 pages, pieces of paper, but that's at least one page of text. It can be longer than that, but that's the minimum. Yes. Okay, when you say that, I wonder if you mean, and you can do this, use latitude and longitude to determine distance between 2 cities or countries or things like that. That certainly uses pretty big time. So something like that. Is that what you were thinking? Or if you're talking about distance,
I was thinking more about distance in relative to time and the speed that you're going.
okay, that's certainly a algebraic equation. Whether it uses trig or not, that's going to be a push. Yeah, that will be a push. But if you're talking about things on the grid, yeah, you use trig to find out that all the time. That would be a great one, whether it's maps or grids or things like that. Yeah.
So basically, like, put a grid on top of something and then make like a scale for each block.
Exactly. That uses trig big time. Yeah. Look into it, see what you get. If you need to change, you can change. Yes, sir. Today, not at all, because as soon as I finish my next class, I'm on the help desk. I come back to this class, and then I go back to the help desk. So I'm not going to be at the office all today. Tomorrow, I know I'll be there from 11:15 to 12:15 when I'm at lunch, and I'll be there from 3:15 to 5:15 at the end of the day. Yeah. Of the book? Okay. Okay, you want the, okay, let me, is that one?
Yes.
Now you need the student copy.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh,
make sure you get that.
Does it? Is it
Oh,
like
wait.
a CD that comes with it? or
What's
something?
that?
Is it like a CD that comes with it or something? Like a web assignment?
Okay, I don't require that. Do you like to use WebAssign?
No, sir. I was just gonna ask because I was going.
No, it's not required. So if you want to buy a book without that,
Oh, so you're not
I
gonna use
I
WebAssign?
don't require that
Okay.
WebAssign. I really find WebAssign
Okay.
problematic.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's just had written this on the board. I couldn't remember what you said yesterday. Do you need this class, or I know you need it ultimately, but can you take it in the spring?
Well, I'm supposed to take in differentials next semester, so I can try to trace
If what?
UAB.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you can take them both in the same term. Are you Kimmel Cushon Low?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was 155.
I'm sorry.
No, I thought the classroom number was 155. It's 255.
Yeah. Okay. I was just I'm glad both of you are here now. Are both of you going to be back here in the spring or not?
This is my last semester.
It is your last semester here, and you need it to graduate.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we'll have the course. Okay. I couldn't tell
How many
looking.
people are in here?
Just the two of them.
Alright.
And since neither of you had shown up at the time, I was afraid. I knew I talked with Jasmine yesterday, and I thought maybe she assumed that it was going to be canceled. And that, she wasn't here, but I didn't know you at all, so I didn't know. And I just written that note on the board saying, well, it looks like I'm not going to have the class. But if you do need it to graduate, and you're not going to be here in the spring, okay, we'll go on and have the class. Okay.
Appreciate that. Not many teachers do that.
Well, I'm an idiot, so get used to
Yeah,
it.
you helpful though.
How's that?
I say you helpful.
Okay. I want you to graduate.
Appreciate it.
All right, then I've just been calculating my now. Let me also say this. I had written it on the board, but neither one of you have completed registration, right?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. They won't let it go with no paid students. So you need to get paid as soon as possible. Okay. Okay. All right. Just to let you know, because I know they're awfully picky about that. Now, even though I'm teaching it for free, they still wouldn't let it run, you know. So. Okay. Well, I was just going through making changes to the syllabus. So let's go ahead and get started then. I marked you both here. And waiting for this to come up. I know Jasmine's been in my class before. Oh man. Yeah,